Heavy rain dumped on the area by last weekend's weather system resulted in damage to agriculture, resulting in loss of crop and livestock, creating major setbacks for an already challenging road project and compromising the water system, among other impacts. The Honourable Prime Minister made the point that these natural disasters remind us of how vulnerable we are to the effects of climate change.
When we go out and we advocate on the issue of climate change, and calling on the global community, especially developed countries, to do what they promised to do for us. And every time there is a meeting, every time there is a conference, they make some very fancy commitments, literally, really, in a sense, kicking the can down the road. 15 years ago, in Copenhagen, the developed countries made a pledge. They committed $100 billion to countries being affected by climate change. After 15 years, we have received not 1 cent. Not 1 cent. We were impacted by Erica, as we saw. We were impacted by Maria. And to date, about 98% of the monies that we have spent to respond to Maria came from our money.
Due to quick action, vehicular access to Cassibrus was restored in 24 hours. The Prime Minister commended those who were able to quickly mobilize themselves to reassure and give hope to residents of the area.
And we had the ministers coming in. Minister Laville came in the same day, the day after, with the staff. Mobilized Duasco, and I was saying to the manager earlier today that Duasco is really an unsung hero in our country. Sometimes we take it for granted and we complain. It's easier to complain than to say something that's positive and good. But the movement that they've been able to make, responding to natural disasters and getting us potable water, drinking water in such a quick time, it's unparalleled. You see in other countries, we have months, developed countries, months they're waiting for water, no water.
The Prime Minister says government is assessing the damage to agriculture with a view to providing assistance to farmers whose livelihoods were affected until they can get back on their feet. He says the impact on various aspects of the East Coast Road project revealed areas of weakness in the design and where adjustments need to be made going forward. He wants the road project to continue in phases. The contractor will initially concentrate on a 3-kilometer stretch of road.
To prepare the drains and prepare the surface for surfacing, because it is completely unacceptable to have the entire roadway like this. It was never the plan. It was never what was agreed to. We always agreed, recognizing that the road will be used while it's being constructed, to do it by sections. So we do a section, finish, a nice road. Do a next section, finish, nice road. But it was never envisaged that this road would have been dug up from Wadep to Pigwa. There was never the intention. You excavate to widen the corner. There's a need for a retaining wall. That retaining wall should start the following week. And this is how we planned it. We planned it. But we are bringing it back. We're giving it a shorter leash now. We have an increased team of road supervisors on board, and we have Mr. Johnson, Kendall Johnson, who is one of the better engineers we have in the country, assigned to this project on a daily basis and providing oversight along with a team of engineers and surveyors and the like.
The entire East Coast Road project is costing government $127 million. Parliamentary Representative Octavia Alfred expressed gratitude for the efforts of all those involved in helping her constituency through this difficult time.
It shows that people are concerned about what's happening here. It shows that the government is concerned with the vulnerability of the area. It shows that people care about those who live in Cassibrus. We know how our place is already. When we see it raining, we hold in our breath and we pray. If nothing happens, we breathe out and we say, praise the Lord. But if something happened, it took us a little by surprise, but we would not say that we were unprepared, because we always pay attention to what's going on around us. So I say to you, thank you, and let's continue to stay together, and let's continue to be mindful and be grateful for what is being done for us. Let us never take things for granted. Sometimes when things happen so quickly like they did over the weekend, we take things for granted. Let us not take things for granted, because people have to give up certain things to be with us. And it's going to cost a lot of money to repair and rebuild. But the promise is we will rebuild, and we will rebuild better. I think if we're looking for the meaning of resilience outside of the dictionary, we can say Cassibru's constituency. That is the meaning of resilience. I am very happy about the way that we stayed together and we did what we were supposed to do.
Restoring road access to Cassibru's was among the main priorities for the Ministry of Public Works.
You will see that there was some compromise, some damage to the approach to Calix Bridge on the northern approach. And very quickly, immediately, our staff moved in and we pulled off the contractor from the road project and we moved in. And while we did not share this with the public, we had a commitment to restore access to you all within 24 hours. And I came on Saturday morning, and even before I got to the Calix Bridge, I saw the PALREP on the road next to a landslide, and we spoke about it. Then I made my way up with the PALREP to the Calix Bridge after that. And here it was, our senior engineer consultant, Mr. Johnson, was right there with the contractor, already strategizing as to how we are going to implement that strategy to restore access within 24 hours. And it crossed my mind whether I should share that with the public, that we are going to try to restore access within 24 hours. But I myself had my doubts. I didn't tell them that. We wanted to put them to the test. And what I can say now is I'm extremely proud, I'm extremely grateful that we were able to realize that.
The Public Works Minister spoke to the conditions which led to the Calix Bridge being impacted by flood waters.
What you see is that in this channel, what happened is something that's typical. Any type of land formation that is like this, where you have what is, we know it to be a gorge, but it's a channelized river. So you have water in a gorge up in the hillsides, and it's contained within that gorge. And when it comes down and the intensity, the flow is much faster, and the water level increases and it comes down to a plain, what happens is that the water is no longer contained. And you have this massive, large-scale type of flooding incident that we saw. So really, a bridge is no match for that. So it's not really about the placement of the bridge, regardless of where it was placed within a floodplain. We could have seen that.
DOASCO brought in water trucks to address the disruption caused by the landslides and flooding. Water was eventually restored to the community very shortly following the impact of the storm. But there are big plans to build a resilient water system to serve the Cassibru's constituency.
The intention really is to build a major water system, a new system for Cassibru's, as the minister alluded to. It will involve a totally new intake, taking water somewhere around the irrigation system, treating that water properly, running it down to some area down on, close enough to the secondary school, and pumping it up to a large storage tank. I will tell you at this point, we were very passionate about Cassibru's and Cassibru's water. And we do have a consultancy firm from Germany working with the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office of the UK and the CDB and DOASCO to design the water system. We asked for a 500,000 gallon tank for the Cassibru's community. And the reason is that we thought, if we build in resilience, let us find a tank that we can supply even Good Hope, Sansovia, and if necessary, pump to Petit Soufriere, and also the Kakanago territory, if necessary. Given the funding that was available, the consultant said it was impossible, and they offered us a 60. Well, I couldn't sleep over a 60,000 gallon tank. I wanted more. I said, okay, we'll compromise. Give us 250,000 gallons. Long story short, at the end, they agreed to a 200,000 gallon storage tank.
Mr. Etinoff says there have been delays in the process, but there has also been good progress.
We can now confirm that we have contractors to pre-qualify, and we have a number of pre-qualified contractors who we have now invited to officially submit bids for the implementation of the Castle system, among other systems in Dominica. And the deadline for beginning works, physical works, those bids should all be received by the 11th of November, evaluated by ourselves, the consultants and so forth, and a contract awarded sometime early January so that works can start in earnest by the end of January for the latest. We have just over a year to complete that project, and we can guarantee you that when that project is complete, you will see a major difference in the water system in Casibus, not just for now, but going well into the future.
The Ministry of Agriculture has been using drone technology in mapping out the farms, and that will make it easier to assess the loss suffered by farmers.
If you had an acre of planting, we would be able to measure every plant that you have. If you have an acre of coconuts, we'd be able to measure every plant that you have. So your loss would easily be measured based on the before and the after. What might be critical, and we need that information as we go along, is the amount of heads of cattle that would be lost. We well appreciate that along this grazing ground are numerous farmers with cattle. We saw that after Maria, quite a bit of heads were lost, and we're seeing that again today.
The Honourable Prime Minister made sure there was no misunderstanding as to what he meant when he mentioned assistance to Casibros farmers.
Hoping that we can receive the assessment from the farmers and so we'll provide some limited support to the farmers. It is not compensation. It is an assistance. Compensation is only when there's a legal obligation. But assistance is, in recognition of, and so we'll continue to help with this. So we want to thank the Parliament and the ministers, for their efforts, the Parliament's efforts, and all of you really, in the community who have really come out to support and so on. And the patience and the understanding was excellent, and so we're very grateful for this. We have to work together. We have to work together. We can talk, but if we don't work together, then we won't see things improve, and we always have to see the glass half full, rather than half empty. And a storm, it could have certainly developed into something even much worse. We were expecting Ian to impact us in a huge way in Dominica, but by the grace of God, it didn't. But unfortunately, we've seen the havoc, as I said, it has caused in the United States. And no longer the hurricane season ends in September. You're going into October and you expect something, you'll be in November. If you recall, in 2013, we had a trough in Citroën Loubaix area. So you have those events. We have to be prepared. We have to be mindful. We have to be watchful. And in the event that we are affected, that we can come together to work together to overcome the challenge. And there's a commitment on our part, there's a willingness on the part of the government, and we will certainly overcome.
For the Government Information Service, Julian Morris reporting.